Recorded Books presents Blue Skies by T.C. Boyle. Narrated by Elisa Bresnahan. From Irving, Berlin. Blue skies, smiling at me. Nothing but blue skies do I see. Part 1. Chapter 1. They were like jewelry. They were like jewelry. Living jewelry. And she could see herself wearing one wrapped around her shoulders to Bobo's or the Cornerstone, and sitting at a sidewalk table while people strolled by and pretended not to notice. It would make a statement, that was for sure. She'd put on a tube top so you could see the contrast it made with her bare skin. Black, definitely black, and she'd wear her black jeans too, and maybe her fedora. And she'd just look down at her drink, or up at Todd, as if nothing were out of the ordinary. And he'd go along with it, too. She was sure he would. They were in that phase of their relationship where he'd given her a ring, and they'd moved in together, and she could have just about anything she wanted. Except a baby. Are you joking, or what? I'm no way even close to being ready for that. And plus the expense. Jesus. He wouldn't let her have a dog, either, or even a cat. He was allergic. Hair, dander, fleas. And did she have any idea of what his parents had to spend on inhalers and injections and the rest of it when he was a kid? She didn't. And at this point, she didn't care. Talk about impulse buying. The minute she walked through the door and saw them glittering there in their plexiglass cases, she knew she had to have one. The shop was called Herp's, and it was located on the fringe of the shopping district, where the fast food places were, and the auto supply, and a couple hole-in-the-wall Haitian and Cuban restaurants. She wouldn't have noticed it, let alone pushed through the door, if she hadn't been so bored. Todd was having the car detailed, and he couldn't just leave it there and trust them to do the job. No. He had to look over their shoulders while they plied their rags and toothbrushes and sealants, making sure they were on top of it. That was just the way he was, a perfectionist. And he liked to say that the two of them were a good match because she was an imperfectionist, which might have been passive-aggressive, but really wasn't far from the truth. So opposites attract. Wasn't that the way of biology? She'd been looking for a bar, thinking a mojito would brighten her afternoon, when she saw the snake there in the window, thick as a truck tire, and stretched out on an artificial branch canted up off the floor at a 45-degree angle. It was chocolate-colored, with gold latticework that ran the length of it like a pattern in a catalog. Its eyes were hard, cold beads. Its tongue flicked in and out. Most of all, it was present, in a way most things in this world definitely weren't. She stared at it for a long moment, falling into a kind of trance, till the reflection of a car wheeling by on the street behind her brought her out of it. Of course, she'd seen snakes before, at the zoo, in the nature films on TV, smeared across the blacktop on one country road or another, but she'd never really looked at one. Not until now, when the abstraction and the actual fused into an idea, a want, a need, a sudden need so pressing it constricted her throat. She paused a moment to dig the Dasani bottle out of her purse and take a long, lukewarm swallow before she swung round and stepped inside. The place was dimly lit, all the light radiating from the individual display cases. The cases lined the walls and stood end to end on low tables in the middle of the room, some with lizards or frogs or turtles isolated inside them, but most with snakes, which lay there motionless, like so many bolts of material in a fabric shop. There was a smell, too, subtle and dry, a smell of process, and she thought about that. The snakes unhinging their jaws to take in their prey. Mice or rats, wasn't it? or rabbits for the big ones. And then what?
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.